Morning. Another day, another real-world test. Today we're doing on the Apple iPhone 17 Pro Max, the new top-of-the-line iPhone that was just launched. Now today's a bit more of a travel day, honestly, but we will explore as per the usual, all while we test out this phone. But first things first. Coffee, check. And welcome to Coffee Check,
which is my coffee shop and roastery that I started almost 2 years ago, which is nuts. But some recent updates. We just celebrated our first year of being open a few weeks ago, so that's fun. And then we finally got our first health inspection and we got an A, which is a huge relief. And I'm so happy that the baristas nailed it, even though I was out of town. Besides that, we've also gotten in a new batch of beans from the same place as our current matte black coffee, the first coffee that I've roasted here in the roastery and was happy enough to put out into the world. If you want to try it, I have it up on the website at the link below. And when you order, I'll personally roast it, pack it up, and ship it out for you. I appreciate the support. Okay, let's start with the iPhone 17 Pro Max's design. And it is a new design. Firstly, we have this new unibody frame with a matte finish and a cutout made of ceramic shield 2 so that you can use MagSafe, as you know, magnets don't work terribly well through metal. You'll also notice the departure from titanium that we had last year, but it's because of titanium's lesser ability to dissipate heat compared to aluminum, which helps with sustained performance. Something that Apple is focused on this year, along with the addition of their new A19 Pro chipset. Now, because of this and other things, the phone weighs slightly more than last year, but honestly, you won't notice. And also, it just feels really good. Now, some of that might be the texture of it, but also the edges are like slightly curved very subtly. It feels nice. Oh, and they changed the camera array on the back. Now they call it the camera plateau, and it seems it's a bit divisive for people, but I like it myself, and I feel like Apple is probably trying to further differentiate the look between the Pro and non-Pro models. We'll talk about that a bit later though. On the front, we have the same size screen as last year and even the same specs, except that it also adds a more scratch-resistant ceramic shield 2 protection on top, as well as an anti-reflective coating. And we have a higher peak brightness, which kicks in whenever you're in direct sunlight, all of which nice to have. Now, something to consider though this year is that all of the iPhones have the same screen features, and the 17 screen is the same size as the 17 Pro screen for the first time as well. Now, lastly, Apple is claiming that the front is 3 times stronger and the back is 4 times stronger compared to last year. One last thing, if you want to check out some new accessories, Anker, who we all know, I'm sure, and who was kind enough to sponsor this video, just released a new Anker NANO lineup of products meant to give higher power output in a more compact size. And the two I have here for the new iPhones, we will most definitely need considering our day ahead. First is the new Anker NANO power bank, which is now the slimmest 5,000 milliamp power bank with full support for Qi 2. So it works on all of the new iPhones, not just the Air, at their full 15-watt Qi 2 power that current MagSafe Qi 2 battery packs top out at, and for less money than most as well. It also only weighs 3.88 ounces, so less than half of the 17 Pro Max. So it's super portable and it has plenty of power. It's also curved in a way that makes it comfortable to use the phone while you still have it attached. Next up, we have this little guy, the new Anker NANO 45-watt charger, which, now that all of the new iPhones support a higher up to 40-watt charging, your current charger won't charge them as fast as they could be charged. The new Anker NANO charger is tiny, and it has foldable prongs, which I appreciate because it means I can toss it into my backpack and even the tiniest of pockets, but it still has that 45-watt charging in spite of its size. So you'll get the fastest charging you can in a very tiny charger, 0 to 50% in about 20 minutes for the iPhone 17 Pro and 17, for example. I also really like the fact that when I travel and I have to use a plane outlet that we all know has been beat up and doesn't hold any sort of charger with some weight to it, this little guy never has an issue, charges my phone fast, and I can still power my MacBook from it even. Now it also comes with a 6-foot 100-watt 5-amp cable in the box, so you don't have to worry about using the wrong cable with it. And it has Active Shield 3.0, which automatically adjusts the power and aperture, etc. to protect your phone from overheating. Now you can check these and the other super affordable Anker NANO products at the link below.
Okay, we should get going or we're gonna miss our flight. Michael Fisher, if you don't know, Mr. Mobile on the internet. We are both in the fancy Delta One Lounge and don't think we're just really bougie. We like to think we are, but we're not. We both had upgrades trying to hack the system here in the Delta Lounge. asked for tonic. It didn't have an orange peel, but we got an orange slice. I tricked the system, and I got a tonic from the bar and espresso from the espresso machine.
Oh, dreadful. They should not be mixed. They're delicious. Don't listen. Automated machines. They're terrible for espresso.
Yeah, wobble the hand. Testing the phone stability.
This guy literally switched seats to be closer to me.
You know, I can't deny my true feelings anymore.
Don't start that. The internet, don't start that.
Okay, so I'm definitely gonna try not to sleep on this plane because I want to be able to sleep tonight when I get there. We have an 11-hour flight basically, and then I got another little 45-minute one after that. So the only thing I'm using in the kit, socks, because they're nice, and slippers.
Okay, made it to Maui. You know, just a normal day. Anyway, I stopped at the hotel that I'm staying at. I changed my pants because it is too hot in Hawaii for jeans, go figure, and I rented a car. Now, I'm here in Maui, as is a lot of other creators that you might know, because there is a tech event here, but it doesn't start for a little bit. So I figured we could go explore while we test out this phone. And our first stop is this, Black Rock Beach, which is on the western shore of Maui, and guess why it's called that? Now, it's not your average rock, though. It actually formed from an ancient lava flow, which then cooled on Ka'anapali Beach and was formed by erosion from the ocean, changes in sea level, wind, and so on. It's also pretty significant in the culture of the island. In Hawaiian tradition, the black rock itself is called Pu'ukeka'a. If you're Hawaiian, please let me know if I butchered that. But it translates to the rolling hill, and is sometimes referred to Leina Aka Uhane. Again, let me know. But that translates to a place where spirits leap, or leap of the spirits, as it is believed to be a jumping off point for spirits departing the earthly realm to return to their ancestors. Now, because of this, there is a nightly torch lighting ceremony where someone comes to light each of the torches along the top of the rocks, and then they come to the very end, bow in every cardinal direction, it seems, throw their torch into the sea, and dive into the waters below, to which everybody on the beach starts clapping. Now, beyond the historical significance and people swimming out to jump off of the cliffs, it's also one of the most popular snorkeling spots in all of West Maui. It's also beautiful outside of the water, with its golden sand and the black rock in the distance, and maybe even a seal or two lounging nearby. Okay, so while we're here, why not use this beautiful place to test out the new camera system that, I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of excited for. Now, we have the same sensors basically for the ultra wide and the main cameras from the last model. The hardware change here is that we now have a 48 megapixel 4x telephoto camera versus the 5x 12 megapixel camera of last year. But also that sensor is bigger than last year's, and so will collect more light and mean better dynamic range in theory. So Apple says they're going from 5x to 4x because that gives a 100mm full frame equivalent, and that's a more common portraiture focal length. And sure, maybe that's the case, but also it might have something to do with the fact that a larger sensor means that you need a wider and longer lens to achieve the same focal length and aperture because of physics that we don't need to get into here. And I have a feeling that that extra size might have been tough to do in the size that they had to work with. Regardless, it's a trade-off that I'm actually very happy to make. Not only is it a better image by a bit, they also are now doing the same sensor cropping that they have done and are still doing on the main 48 megapixel camera to get the middle 12 megapixels out of the center to mimic a 2x zoom focal length. But it can also now do this on that 4x lens to achieve an 8x zoom. And it's pretty good in well-lit conditions for sure. We also have something kind of unique that I like more than I thought I would, which is the center stage front camera. And it actually is kind of clever. Apple is using a 1:1 aspect ratio camera and can thereby capture vertically or horizontally in 16:9 with the same resolution compared to a more traditional 4:3 sensor that is wider than it is tall. It's also twice as large as the iPhone 16 Pro and Pro Max's front camera, so the field of view is much larger as well. And Apple has added the center stage feature from the Mac that can automatically zoom in and out based on what's in the image, as well as auto rotate between vertical and horizontal based on how many people basically are in the photo. Now I frankly turn that off, and I just tap the button as I want to control the framing of the photo or video on my own, and also maybe want to do this when there aren't any other, faces in the frame. Now I find myself actually using it a lot for front-facing video, particularly to get a horizontal video while holding it vertically, as it's much easier to hold that way and less likely that I'll probably drop it as well. Also, that unique 1:1 shape allows for the software to further stabilize the 16:9 image coming out, as there's just more room around the cropped part that they're using to stabilize. We also have larger sensors on the Pro models than we do on the non-Pro models this year, even though it's the same as last year. That means, though, that the Pro phones can capture more light, which, yes, makes for better photos in low lighting, but also gives photos in all different conditions a bit more dynamic range, as well as videos. And the Pros still have a LiDAR sensor, which means that they have better autofocus in low light, plus better depth mapping for things like portrait mode than other phones that rely more on depth information using multiple cameras. Okay, bottom line, the iPhone 17 Pro and 17 Pro Max have more cameras than the other new iPhones, and those cameras are better, making them more versatile for those who take a lot of photos, especially zoomed photos. So if you really care about taking the best photos from your phone, then the Pro iPhones are still a better choice than the non-Pro, as you would expect. But they also have more new Pro features and formats. The iPhone already had support for ProRes Log, which is designed to preserve details in a format that's still compressed, but now the Pro models also support ProRes RAW, which gets more data when you're recording video, so you can have more latitude when you're editing that video later on. They also now support recording in Apple Log 2, which is Apple's new log format that encodes video in the Apple color gamut, which Apple says is wider than the BT 2020 color space that Apple Log 1 used, and what most phones usually use for HDR footage. Basically, a wider color gamut means that it can capture a broader range of colors, so things look more natural and true to life, as long as you have a display that can show those colors. Now, if you don't know what any of that means, you probably don't need to care about it, but basically, it means that professionals or even content creators that want to do the extra work have more options when they record video on an iPhone than they did before, at least on the Pro models. And that's kind of the theme this year, which we'll get to in a second. We've ended up at the Honoa Pi'ilani Food Truck Park. That was a hard one to say. I probably messed that one up for sure. But what the heck is that? Well, it's basically a graveled up part of a parking lot that they've created with seating and some nice lighting for a bunch of food trucks to all park and serve food from. Is it the best looking place to sit and eat food in Maui? Probably not, but the variety and the quality of the food here is great. It has all kinds of different food, including Thai, sushi, barbecue, and more, which varies over time as different food trucks come in and others leave. There's plenty of seating, and part of the fun is you and whoever you're with can all go get whatever type of cuisine you want, and it'll get called out when it's ready, and then you just all sit together with your various dishes. Now, the dish I went for was this, which is the single biggest portion of poke I have ever seen in my life. Not only was it huge, but the fish was super fresh, and the poke was perfectly seasoned. I've been to Maui plenty of times for work now, and I've eaten plenty of good poke here, but the poke I got from this truck was the best I've had, for sure. Now, these food trucks are usually open during the dinner rush and into the evening, though sometimes they close up earlier than expected if they run out of food. But really, this is kind of just like a great place to chill with some friends after a long day at the beach and get some good food. Now, the battery on the iPhone 17 Pro Max is pretty big, and it held up pretty well too. Today, though, obviously wasn't a normal day. I used the camera way more than you ever would. But here is another day that was more of a normal day for you to get a better idea. Overall, the battery life is very good, especially on the 17 Pro Max. I think it's a little better than the 16 Pro Max due to the more efficient processor, and having the biggest battery in any iPhone ever sure doesn't hurt. And when you have to charge it, the iPhone 17 Pro and Pro Max can charge quicker as well, hitting up to 40 watts. According to Apple, you can reach around 50% of battery life in only 20 minutes, as long as you use a compatible charger. Now, the phones also support MagSafe charging at up to 20 watts for the Pro and 25 watts for the Pro Max. Apart from the camera and design, performance is potentially somewhere you might see a bit more out of your Pro model phones over the others. Now, in day-to-day use, you won't notice, honestly. But if you're using, say, your iPhone to create content and filming for a long time, especially in the new ProRes RAW format, or editing video on the phone, and to some degree even playing games as well, the new Vapor Chamber slightly bumped up A19 Pro versus the A19 chipset in the Pro and Air versus the regular iPhone might help keep the sustained performance going longer. Now, the Vapor Chamber is new for iPhones this year, but it basically has some water inside that when heated up, it turns into steam and it pulls the heat away from the chipset to a cooler part of the phone, where it then condenses back into water, heads back to be reheated, and the cycle continues. Now, this helps keep the chip cool, which means it can perform at its best for longer, since as processors heat up, they normally will need to throttle their performance otherwise. The iPhone 17 and the iPhone Air perform well too, though. They may not have the same chips as the Pro, but here's the thing. For most people, having the cutting-edge chip, it's not really going to make a big difference. If you use your phone for, phone things like taking photos, browsing the web, scrolling Instagram, and making calls, that tiny bit better performance won't probably change your experience. The extra performance, though, could benefit creators, though. And that kind of feels like it's really the whole point of the Pro models now to me. It feels even more so as a phone aimed at creators who want things like the hands-down best video quality in pretty much any phone, to be honest, especially with further focal lengths now, like 4x and 8x, and who might even want advanced video formats to kind of up the level of quality of their videos from the phone. Now, everyone else, unless you have money to burn and you just really want the latest and greatest, should probably realistically buy the iPhone 17 or even the Air, which now have the same screen as the Pro models even. It really feels like to me that this is the first time that Apple seems more sure of who they think the Pro models are for, and they're doubling down on that now, and changing the design as much as they did, just so that it's easier to differentiate between the Pro models and the non-Pro models as well. There you go. Let me know what you guys think of the phone, of this video, my weird little format. Always appreciate hearing from you guys. Also, check out the new products from Anker at the link in the description below. As well, if you want to buy some coffee from me, I'll leave that there too. Appreciate the support. But now I'm going to go home and try to get some sleep to get ready for this event tomorrow. Good night.